Hi, this is Mrs. Warren, and today we're talking about our first form of government after the American Revolution. This is about the Articles of Confederation. Now, we've had two forms of government during our country's history, and the first one was the Articles. As you can see in this political cartoon shown below, it was very rough sailing. Our national government had very little power because of the paranoia and the fear of having an abusive government as we did under King George III in Great Britain. Now, this was our first form of government. It was written during the American Revolution. We had no president. We had no judiciary branch, no courts, no taxes, no army, no navy, no foreign policy. It was crazy. Today we're going to look closer at these weaknesses, why we had them, what they were, and how we left the Articles in the dust to form the government we have today under the Constitution. Now, under the Articles, Congress had to beg states to give them money. As we saw at the conditions of Valley Forge, we couldn't require them to give us money like we do today with taxes. Congress had no power to control trade between the states, so everybody had different trade laws, even different money in different states. We also had many arguments. The states had all this new land, and they were fighting over whose land was what. So, because of this, we didn't have a very good start for our nation. Now, we only had one branch of government. Today we have three. Under the Articles, Congress was the only branch. We had no executive. We had no king, no president. We had no court system. So, which hurt us because if the states are fighting, there's nobody to handle and make a decision. And each state only had one vote. Now, underneath your notes, I need you to draw your hand, trace around your hand, like the turkeys when you were younger, just like shown in this picture. Now, let's talk about a little bit of the weaknesses. The weaknesses are going to be shown by the fingers. If you balance something on one finger, it's unstable, it's weak. Versus putting things in the palm of your hand, it's a little more stable, and a little, it gives it a little bit more strength when you're holding something. So that's what the idea is around this graphic organizer. So, some of the weaknesses of the Articles. We had a weak central government, no president, no executive leader. We had no power to tax, meant no money. We couldn't fix things. We couldn't run our government properly. No courts to handle disputes. So, as I said in the previous slide, states were fighting, nobody to handle the argument. We had no army, no navy. Again, this is coming from the fear of the early colonists about how the king treated them. So they were a little scared to give so much power to the federal government after fighting an abusive government as with the king. And we couldn't regulate trade. Trade was our bread and butter. How are we going to make money? We have to sell and buy things from France and Spain and, yeah, even Britain. But every state had something different, different laws, and it became very frustrating for foreign countries. We also couldn't pay back all that debt we incurred during the Revolution. Remember, all that stuff from France that they gave us money, supplies, ships. We had to pay all that back. And if we can't tax and we don't have any money, yeah, we're not paying anything back. Now, there was a couple good things that came out of this. The Northwest Ordinance was a way for our country to expand. And it also allowed for new monies to come into the United States. Number two, this was written and used during the American Revolution, so it kind of kept our nation together to get us through the war. But being a new nation, we're going to need something a little stronger and a little bit more stable for us to grow and, well, survive as a nation. All right, so we have a small brain snack that you're going to answer this in the Ed Puzzle questioning. Well, the zombie's not coming up. But we are going to continue with the lesson. In 1787, which is right before the Articles were kicked to the curb, they enacted a law called the Northwest Ordinance. The Northwest Ordinance was a set of laws that told a territory how to become a state. Because so many people were moving westward, especially into this territory called the Northwest Territory, they were able to sell out portions of this land for people to buy, which increased money for the government and our nation. It allowed our country to expand and grow, which is good for our economic system. Now, once people had lived in an area, they had 60,000 people, they had written a constitution, they could apply to become a state. And when they became a state, they became equal as all the other states. It didn't matter how old you were as a state. And one other unique feature about the Northwest Ordinance, that it outlawed slavery. And this was the first time in the United States' short-lived history, or a short history thus far, that there was a ban or an outlaw on slavery. And if you notice, this is also north of the Ohio River. And of course, slavery wasn't used much in the north. So there wasn't a big problem with passing that through. The Northwest Ordinance is going to be very important. And one of those items you're going to have to know. So that's what we're working on the next couple days.